Hey guys, I hope you're all having an amazing day. Look, I'm really excited to teach you what I'm about to teach you in this video because I'm such a big believer in mixing up the way you train and making every workout you ever do different to the last, okay? So no workout of mine is ever the same. You might think, well, how the hell do you constantly mix it up when you're doing over 300 plus workouts per year? But it is really very simple and it makes a huge difference in the results you see from your training. So what a training variation actually is like a different technique or a different style of lifting to what you would normally do in a given set. So most of us, when we train, we do at a guess around 20 sets per workout, consisting of failing in the rep range of sort of 8 to 15 reps, and that's about it, and that'd be a finished workout. But each set is the same. You repeat the same exercise 4 or 5 times, failing in the correct rep range, and then you move on to the next exercise and so on until you finish your workout. For most people who don't know what I'm about to teach you, that is what a normal workout will consist of. So don't get me wrong, training like this is fine for 3, 4 or 5 workouts in a row, but then the reason people start dropping off and giving up is because it gets boring and repetitive and the results start to slow down. So this is where you need to mix up your training a little bit and incorporate some of the variations I'm about to teach you. So I'm going to go over 6 different training variations I want you to start including in your own workouts. So these variations are going to make your workouts a lot harder, they're going to make your training more enjoyable, and they're going to get you results so much faster than just training normally and not incorporating those techniques. So I want you to watch all of my full hour-length workout videos with voiceovers, and you'll see me perform all of my training variations that I'm about to teach you. So the first technique or training variation I want to cover is called a drop set. Okay, so a drop set is the practice of working to complete muscular exhaustion with one single weight, then stripping off between 30 to 50% of that weight so that you're able to complete more reps, creating more tears in the muscle, training past that point of failure. So when you compare this to a normal set, you're only breaking down like the main layer or the top layer of the muscle fibers, which is preventing you from reaching maximum results with your training. So drop sets work to activate the deepest muscle fibers, creating more tears in the muscle, leading to maximum growth. And this technique's very effective when it comes to building muscle and dropping fat. So for an example of what a drop set would look like, I want you to watch my demonstration video on leg extensions because I'll show you how to do a triple drop set or a giant set using the leg extension exercise. I'll also show you multiple drop sets in my full 1 hour length workout videos with a voiceover. So you don't have to include drop sets on every single exercise you do or every single set you do, but just throw them in there as a variation to make your training workouts that little bit harder. So I've told you 1,000 times, the harder you make your workouts, the better your results are going to be. And by throwing drop sets in there every now and then, it's really going to speed up the rate you see progress and changes with your body because it allows you to train past that point of failure, as I mentioned before. So it doesn't matter what exercise you do a drop set on, you can do them on basically every exercise if you want to, because once again, there's no right or wrong. It's all about training to complete failure and breaking your muscle down as much as you possibly can in that given workout. So the next training variation I'm going to cover is called a superset. So a superset is when an exercise is performed directly after a set of a different exercise without any rest in between them. So once each superset's complete, you then rest for 1.5 to 2 minutes to recover. I like to rest for about 90 seconds in between sets, but once again, everyone's different and some people might take a little bit longer to recover between sets. So this simple yet highly effective technique provides such a big benefit. Since you're performing the sets back to back, you break your muscles down a lot faster, they fatigue quicker because you give them less time to recover, and you actually hit different muscles from different angles because you're using 2 different muscle exercises basically in the same set. So an example of what a superset looks like in my full-length chest and biceps workout with voiceover video, the whole workout I superset 2 different exercises straight after the other, and it leads to a very hard, intense and successful workout. The exact same rule applies to supersets as it does to drop sets. You don't have to include supersets on every single exercise you do or every single set you do, but you can just throw them in there as a variation to make your training that much harder. It doesn't matter what exercise you do when performing a superset, as they all contribute to breaking down your muscles and making workouts harder. If you are training 2 different muscle groups in the one workout, let's use chest and biceps for example, you can start with a chest exercise and then superset that with a bicep exercise. You can start with a chest exercise and also finish with a chest exercise like I show you in my full length chest workout video, just as long as they're different. There's no right or wrong way to train. It all works. It's all about training to complete failure and breaking your muscles down as much as you possibly can. Every workout you ever do should be different and harder than your last, and that is very easy to do using these different training variations. Okay, the next training or exercise variation I'm going to cover is called a giant set. So a giant set is a combination of 3 or more exercises with less than 60 seconds rest in between them. Okay, the difference between a giant set and a superset is that when you do a giant set, you do 3 or more exercises in a row, and when you do supersets, you only combine 2 exercises. So also the rest time in between your exercises can be slightly longer when you do a giant set, obviously because you're doing multiple exercises in a row, which, trust me, is extremely hard. Okay, so what a giant set would look like, I can't actually tell you to go look at an example because I don't do them very often, as not only do they destroy your muscle, but they destroy your cardiovascular as well. So like because your heart rate's up so high, it feels like you're doing cardio while you're doing weights. So again, let's use chest as an example. So in the superset, I showed you how I was doing the incline dumbbell press, then straight on to push-ups immediately after I'd finished the dumbbell press. So in the case of a giant set, you would move on to a 3rd, 4th, or even 5th different exercise straight after completing the drop set. So it doesn't matter if you do 3, 4, or 5 different exercises to include in your giant set, they're all correct, so just mix it up. I personally don't like to do giant sets very often, as I find them too cardiovascularly fatiguing by the end of it, and it actually takes away from my weight training. So what I mean by that is I actually give up the set early because I'm way too exhausted, not because my muscles are giving way first, but because I'm so cardiovascularly fatigued, like I feel like I'm in the middle of a cardio session. So this basically just means I need to work on my cardio fitness, which is something I do need to improve on myself. So yes, giant sets are another great and extremely hard variation. You can add it into your workouts. They're a great way to mix up your training style. I definitely recommend you try them in your workouts, but for me personally, I find them too hard, and I prefer to break down my muscles and end the set that way than exhausting myself cardiovascularly. So the next variation I'm going to talk to you through is called pause reps. So pause reps are definitely my preferred method of mixing up my training style, and I honestly use them all the time. A pause rep is a point during a rep where, under maximum tension, you're placing on the muscle, and you stop the movement in the position and pause for a period of 2 to 5 seconds. Okay, so by pausing at the point where maximum tension is being placed on the muscle, it's going to create a serious burn in that muscle. Okay, you're literally ripping further apart the whole time you're pausing in that position. So I want you to watch my bench press exercise demonstration video, and I'll show you how to correctly incorporate pause reps into your set whilst bench pressing. So you'll see me perform the rep correctly, but then I pause for about 3 seconds when the bar is just off my chest. That's maximum tensions being placed on my pecs, and then I continue after a pause. Back down, continue after a pause. So pause reps allow you not to lift crazy heavy weights, which can cause long-term injury or joint soreness, but you'll still get the same amount of tears plus more in your muscle because tension's being placed on the muscle for a much longer period of time with those pauses. So again, it doesn't matter when or how often you incorporate pause reps, they're just another good way to mix up your training and stop your muscles from getting used to the same thing. Some workouts you might include pause reps every single set, other workouts you might include them in the last set of every exercise, and then some workouts you might include them as well as using a drop set in the same set as the pause set. So this is how you mix your training up. You don't need to change your training split every 8 weeks or whatever to stop your body from getting used to the same thing. All you need to do is be creative and throw in multiple variations every workout, and not only is it going to break your muscles down faster, it'll also stop your body from getting used to just your standard normal workout. So the next training variation I'm going to cover are called negatives. Negatives, as well as all the other variations I've talked you through, are very, very powerful training techniques that are going to help you see results faster. Negative training is also known as eccentric training because of the eccentric contraction that it involves. So it involves loading a weighted exercise in only the down or the muscle lengthening part of the rep. For example, if you're doing a negative squat, you would start with the bar and the weight in the top position across your traps. you would then lower that weight down very, 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 very slowly under full control to the bottom position of the exercise, as low as you can possibly squat. And once you fully lowered the weight all the way down, and as controlled as you can, then explode the weight back up fast, pushing through your heels to the top of the movement. So what actually makes a rep a negative is the slow or eccentric or down part of the movement to the bottom of the rep. The longer you keep tension on the muscle and the longer you take to lower that weight down to the bottom of the rep from the top of the rep, the more you're going to get from the negative, okay? And once you lower the weight all the way down, you explosively push the weight back up to the top of the rep without locking out, and slowly lower it back down again, and so on until you finish the set. So you can see me performing a negative set in my full length workout video with the voiceovers for legs. I use negatives all the time. They are very, very effective. Again, I'm going to continue repeating myself because it doesn't matter when or how often you incorporate negatives. There's no right or wrong. Negatives are just another good way to mix up your training and stop your muscles from getting used to the same thing, and can be performed on almost every exercise. Excuse me. So the last training variation I'm going to take you through is called partial reps. A partial rep is a limited range of motion, so you're only doing part of the rep, and it mimics the full range of motion movement. So what that means is you're only completing half to 3/4 of the full range of the motion of each rep. I know I've constantly told you in all my exercise demonstration videos that you need to complete the full range of motion, and yes, that's correct if you're performing the exercise the correct way. But this video is about mixing your training style up and making your workouts as hard as possible, so instead of completing the full range of motion, you might only perform 50% of the full range of the motion during a partial rep. Now, the reason I love partial reps is because you can actually complete 50% range of motion at the point of the rep where maximum tension is on the muscle. So basically you're performing the hardest part of the exercise over and over again, which is obviously going to make the set a lot harder and make you fatigue a lot quicker. I also love partial reps because as you're only completing 50 to 75% of the full range of motion, you can actually lift heavier than normal because you're not performing the full range of motion. So remember, the harder you make your workouts, the more you're going to get from them. The more weight on the partial rep really stresses your nervous system to the point where you go back to the full range of the rep. It actually feels a little easier, which means you're going to get stronger and stronger. Partial reps are a great way to help gradually increase your strength, or if you've got a particularly weak or sticking part in a rep, you just train that part of the rep. I want you to watch my full hour length back workout with voiceover video, and you can see me performing those partial reps in multiple different exercises once again. For the last time, it doesn't matter when or how often you incorporate the partial reps. There's no right or wrong. The goal from every single workout is to destroy your muscles as much as you possibly can, go home, eat, sleep to recover, you stay consistent with your diet, and you will see results very fast. I personally do not change my training split very often at all. Every 6 months max, I mix up my training split, and the reason I do not need to change my split is because I'm constantly mixing my workouts up with different training variations. Drop sets with partial reps, super sets with negatives, whole workouts using only pause reps. Be creative, guys. Once you start incorporating those different techniques in your training, it becomes a whole lot more enjoyable. You have a much larger variety of exercises and options to choose from. It becomes a whole lot harder, and as you know, the harder you make your workouts, the better results you're going to get, and the faster you're going to get results. So the key to successfully incorporating different training variations into your workouts is to not stress over it and not worry about if what you're doing is correct. The way to determine whether or not you had a successful workout is by how much good pain you put that particular muscle through during that workout. By good pain, I mean like the burn in the muscle or the fatigue that you cause that muscle. I don't mean lifting too heavy and hurting your joints or anything like that. The more good pain you put your muscles through during a workout, the better your results are going to be, and the best way to do that is by using different training variations to your advantage. So I've also taught about training techniques like progressive overload, compound movements, isolation exercises, and so on. If you mix up your training style and mix up the variations you use in each workout, you have literally so much variety to choose from when going through your workouts to keep them interesting and, more importantly, keep them hard. Before I finish up, I just want to reinforce that there's no right or wrong. Don't stress over the little details of the variations. It doesn't matter what exercises you use with what variations and what training styles, they're all correct. If they weren't correct, they wouldn't have been invented in the first place, and they would not be talked about. They are all just great variations and great techniques you can use in all your workouts The key is to break those muscles down and perform these variations at 100% training intensity. Try them all, measure the results, look for which ones you enjoy the most, and actually have fun with your workouts, guys. I know you love weight training because you're watching my videos, and seriously, my 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minute workout almost every day of my life is my favorite part of the day. Working out's fun, it's not boring, and it makes us better. The more variations you add into your workouts, the harder you make your workouts, the better results you're going to be. So make sure you try them all. Make sure you're always training at 100% intensity, guys. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.